Number one, I would say just recognize that there really is light at the end of the tunnel, that your misery is only as deep and as dark and as painful as you make it. I remember saying, I will never, ever be in a relationship again. I don't ever want to get married again. And I realized that I'm giving you my power. I'm allowing this to control the destiny of my life. I'm going to use this to make me better, not bitter.
Put up your mask, let down your guard, and let's talk about the real. This is the Bring Your Own Mask podcast. All right, everyone. I'm so excited to announce today's guest. Dr. Sharalyn Payne is a strategist and an expert at helping driven women accumulate massive wealth, accomplish their ambitions, and attract and keep high-value men using her TLI framework so they can create a fulfilling and rewarding life complete with a healthy bank account and portfolio. I'm so excited that she's here. She is not only the founder of the Push Partner movement, but she's an author of 2 life-changing books, which we will get into during our podcast today. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Dr. Sharalyn.
I am so excited to be here, Kristen. You know, you're one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So I'm so thrilled to be here today. So thank you for bringing me on and for that amazing introduction. I need to take you everywhere with me.
Of course, I'm so excited for you to be here. I was actually just looking at your website and I noticed that you created an audio training around how to win like Floyd Mayweather. What inspired you to create that audio training?
Well, you know what? It's so funny because we all want to win, right? And we all want to be like Floyd. I love just how he markets himself. He's Floyd Money Mayweather, so it's like money in the bank. But when I thought about that, I was actually watching one of his fights a couple of years back. And, just the hype before the fight of who he was and what he was going to do. But it really kind of inspired me to begin to really dig deep into how does he actually train to win? Because we all want to win, but we don't necessarily want to train to win. And I was working on a project at that time. And so we would always talk about, oh my gosh, we just want to win. We just want to win. We just want to win. But nobody wants to do the work in the off season and to really train their bodies and train their minds and really kind of decide that, you know what, I just don't care who holds the trophy. I just want to win. But what does that really take? And so he is extremely disciplined in his life. And a lot of us, we just are not that disciplined. It takes discipline to be disciplined, right? And so we're not disciplined. We just want everything to come. We want, the fast car now, not delay, not save our money. I remember somebody asking me, this is years ago, why do you drive your old Lexus? I had a Lexus at that time, but I had that car literally for probably 10, 12 years. And they're like, why are you still driving this old car when you have money in the bank and you can actually go and get something else? So we know how much you probably are making on a job. And I told them, I said, because you guys don't understand delayed satisfaction, and what it really takes to grind and to win and to be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to buy anything else until I accomplish this particular goal. And for me at that time, it was, I'm not going to buy anything else until I can buy what I want, but I can walk in and pay cash for it and not think twice about it. And right. So that was my goal. And so it's really, just training your mind. And I wanted us to get to the point where we want to win, but we are really strategic in how we win. We're really disciplined in how we actually go about it. You can win and you can win big in your life. I truly believe that. But are you willing to do the disciplines that it takes to win and to win big and to win consistently?
Oh my goodness, that just gave me chills because just yesterday I was talking to someone about with microwavable results. Nowadays, our society has been programmed to think that way, right? To have fast results. So for you to say that you were inspired by Mayweather to create this audio training to help people understand how important discipline and creating habits or good habits is, it's just so life-changing. So if you don't mind, Sharalyn, I really want to go deeper into this. So let's put down our guard, let's put up our mask and talk about the real. What about that?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Amazing. So why don't we start off with this? Sharalyn, why don't you share with us, how did you even get to where you are today? Tell us about your story.
Well, my story is I was really just kind of working in corporate America and just deciding that it just became too much. And it became too much because so many of the people there just could not see my potential. And so at that time, what they didn't realize was that I was actually going through a really, really bad relationship. I was married And I was married to the love of my life, or so I thought. I was telling somebody yesterday, I don't even know if I really was in love, who knows. But at the time, I thought I could not live without him, this raving lunatic. And so I signed myself up to be married to this raving lunatic. And I was in corporate America and just kind of dealing with a lot on my job. And so my job was, just extremely stressful. People didn't really see my potential. They didn't see who I was. And they were jealous because I've always worked with leaders. But at home, they were so jealous of the fact that I'm working with these leaders and I'm married to a leader, but they didn't know that I was absolutely miserable. I mean, literally miserable and depressed. And I was so depressed. And I remember I could care less if I lived. I was kind of really begging God to die. And I remember having a conversation with my mom, and she talked about, I truly believe that you have suffered. You really have suffered in your life. And that was just life changing for me, just to kind of hear my mom give validation to how I was feeling, because I truly believed that, but I really didn't know. So with that being said, I was still continuing to work in corporate America and still continuing to kind of search and decide, I want to move up. And at the time I had a goal that I really, truly wanted to move up and a more of a higher leadership role. I wanted to be the chief learning officer for an organization, or the chief human resource officer for an organization. But I was really struggling in my connections, and I was struggling in my connections because I was guarded. Why was I guarded? I was guarded because I didn't want somebody to ask me the simple question of how are you doing? That how are you doing question really could spiral me into a severe state of depression, because I was miserable and I was dying on the inside, and I really was going through a lot at that time. Some people may have heard me share that, my biological father actually committed suicide.
Wow.
And so that was life changing, of course, for me at 13 years old, to come home from school and learn that he actually, had made a decision to no longer be in our life because the pressures of the world just became too much. He was successful, and he had enough forethought and vision and had thought about this for quite some time. I learned that he actually left an insurance policy so that our family could still be taken care of even in his absence. And what was interesting is that my surrogate father that I had, he actually went through a period where he was actually dying of cancer and did not share it for years. And at that same time, I watched a good friend of mine actually dying of cancer as well. And so I had so many short losses in such a short period of time, while I was also battling this huge thing in my life with the love of my life, or so I thought, and all of this craziness that's going on in my job, because people are, jealous that I am connected and talking to the people who are in leadership positions of power and authority. But that was what my role dictated, right? It wasn't that I went searching for it. But what I learned at that point was that you got to have a plan. If you don't have a plan for your life, nobody else is going to have a plan for you. And you also have to prepare for tomorrow. I was so grateful that my father left an insurance policy for our family. I was so grateful that my spiritual father, who was also my surrogate father, he left an insurance policy for our church. And so that's what really sparked me to really kind of look at finances a little bit differently. But my ex-husband was a self-made millionaire. And so with that, when I walked away, people thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be still living in this house and she's still going to be driving these cars. But I walked away with nothing. All I wanted was, just like Tina Turner, I just wanted my name. That's it. Just leave me alone, because I was absolutely miserable. So when I walked in that courtroom on Valentine's Day and pled my case before a judge and asked for an annulment and said, all I want is my name, that was powerful for me, because I had watched so much hurt and been through so much hurt and pain and turmoil that, I said, what? I want people to understand that your life can go on. And so when I walked out of the courtroom, people began to ask me after that, well, how are you traveling the world still? And how are you living in a golf course community? And how are you doing this? And how are you doing that? And they didn't understand that I was determined to not allow this get the best of me. And that's what I want for other women. I want you to see that you don't have to go through a divorce so you can pick better. You don't have to go through an annulment like I did on Valentine's Day. Nonetheless, you can just choose to pick better. And you don't have to allow somebody else to be in control of your financial future. You can actually accumulate wealth on your own with some of the decisions and the choices that you're making. So whether that's going back to school, whether that's changing careers, whether that's saving more, whether that's creating a financial plan, you and you alone are in control of your financial future. We could have been homeless when my father committed suicide. Our church could have lost everything when my spiritual father died of cancer. I watched my friend who also had cancer, and she died of cancer at 29 years old, but her husband and her family never lost anything. And it wasn't just about the insurance, because these people were also disciplined with their finances off the field as well before that happened. So
Mhm.
that's so important for me, that you go out and you achieve your ambitions. My ex-husband used to always say, hey, I'm living my dream. I'm doing what I want to do. So the money that I have accumulated, it's because I am doing what I want to do. You need to go figure out what it is that you want to do, that you're passionate about. And
Yeah.
so that just kind of got me to thinking, well, what is it that I really want to do? Well, what is it that I'm really passionate about? Well, why do I want to be the chief learning officer? What is it that I really want to do? And who am I really? And that was all born through pain and suffering, I hate to say.
I love that. I love that story so much because I know a lot of women out there listening that are probably have been through a lot of struggle or currently going through struggle as we speak. So I guess my next question for you is for women that are in that spot right now where you were, maybe not in the exact same situation, but just feeling so low. What kind of advice can you give them to basically see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, wow. That's a really great question. Number one, I would say just recognize that there really is light at the end of the tunnel, that your misery is only as deep and as dark and as painful as you make it. And so for me, nobody told me that, but I believe it came when I just began to just kind of say, you know what? I'm going to counselors, I'm reading books, I'm going to therapists, I'm going to church, I'm doing everything people tell you to do. I'm listening to people, but I'm still suffering. And so what is it that I need to do? And I always talk about take back your power. I remember saying, I will never, ever be in a relationship again. I don't ever want to get married again. I don't ever want to go through this. And I realized that I'm giving you my power. I'm allowing this to control the destiny of my life. It's not even that serious. I'm putting way too much energy into something that all I have to do is I got to realize I got to be here now. And what does that really mean to be here now? I got to live in the moment. And so with living in the moment, I got to plan for the future as well at the same time. So it's kind of like, I like to say fighting with both hands. With this hand, you've got to live in the moment. You're fighting, just to get through to the next moment, to breathe when you're overwhelmed. But on this hand, you know that you're not going to give up. And so you got to plan for the future, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And so you've got to take back your power. You got to surround yourself with positive, beautiful people like you who can really point you on your path, who can highlight, okay, this is what you should be doing. And you don't have to have everything figured out right now. Just breathe. I don't think that we even just breathe. We are so into the pain and so into what we're going through that we don't take the time to just say, you know what? I'm just going to breathe and I'm going to put a time limit on this pain. I'm going to put a time limit on this season. I cannot go through this forever, and I cannot allow this to take control of everything else. I'm going to use this to make me better, not bitter. And so that takes you having a conscious mind, of making a conscious effort that, I'm going to do something different, that this cannot control me. This cannot be my everything and be my God. I think we elevate it to God status when we're hurting. When reality, again, I say it all the time, is really not that serious. Yes, it's deep and yes, it's hard. And people may say, but, I have kids. So what am I going to do? I have children. You don't have children. We always kind of find a way to minimize somebody else's pain. And, for that, I would say, but you don't know how deeply I love my husband. You don't realize everything that I was going through on my job. And I really felt like I was being tormented or tortured. You don't realize that in a short period of time, I've lost somebody to AIDS when people really weren't even talking about AIDS. So to see that person suffering who was really close to me, and then losing somebody else to cancer and losing somebody else to cancer. And then, that suicide, and watching my mom go through cancer, so many like crazy, huge life battles in such a short period of time where the pain just consumed me.
Yeah.
So I would say, have you gone through any of that? So not to minimize it and say, well, your pain isn't important. What I'm saying is that we all are facing a battle. Mm-hmm. And we've got to make the decision that I'm going to find somebody else who can help me. I don't have it all. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers, and I don't have to. All I need to do is pull up my little computer and do a little nice little Google search and see who God is leading me to, that I need to be connected with, and then being appreciative of that person and understanding that everything isn't free. There's some things that you're going to have to pay for. You're going to pay one way or another. So you can pay for it in money, or you can pay for it in time.
Yeah.
You can pay for it in hurt. And so just having a clear understanding as well that, you're going to get back what you give. And so you cannot have the expectation that everything is going to be without something else.
No, and that's 100% something I agree on. And what's interesting is that when you told everyone about your story of how when you and your ex-husband separated and divorced, where you just wanted your name, right? And I wanted to ask you because you're someone that I really look up to when it comes to wealth consciousness, right? We're in that space together. So I'm really curious, right? Because during that time, obviously you didn't want anything. Can you describe to our listeners, what does abundance and wealth consciousness mean to you?
I think it's just, for me, I'm going to tell you truly, it's having freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The freedom to not necessarily buy whatever I want, whenever I want, how much ever I want, but the freedom to make decisions that are good for me.
Yeah.
And that's what it really is that, okay, can I make a decision? I shouldn't have to make a life-changing financial decision just because I want to go out to dinner. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was going out to dinner to take somebody out to dinner for their birthday. And that dinner for 2 people, we didn't end up going because something unfortunate happened where we couldn't go, but I was prepared to spend $400 on dinner for 2 people. Mm-hmm. Minimum, just walking through the door, looking at the menu. And I don't say that to brag that I can buy $400 dinners, but it's the fact that I didn't have to charge it. I didn't have to think about, can I afford to do this? Oh my gosh, if I do this, I can't pay my car note. I'm gonna have to borrow some money to pay, my bills. Just having the freedom that I can enjoy life. That if I am driving down the street and I see someone who is at the highway and they're saying, hey, I'm homeless, can you help out? I don't have to think about, no, you need to get a job, or no, I can't help you out because, you need to be doing X, Y, Z, make better decisions and choices. Some people have that mentality. I can truly say, okay, let me give, and I don't feel it. It's just being able to be a blessing to other people, to help other people out who have found themselves in some unfortunate situations. To me, that really is what it's all about. It's not about you, but it's being a blessing. I was on the phone with somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were telling me about somebody who they knew who wanted to buy a microwave to go over her stove. And she was going to have to save for it and plan for it, but all she wanted was a microwave to go over the stove. That's it. And I didn't tell the person that I was on the phone anything that I was going to do. But while we were talking, I just cashed out them the money, looked up microwaves to go over the stove, and just cashed out the person the money. And they're like, what's this for? And I was like, did you read it? And they said, oh my gosh, you don't even talk to them. You shouldn't have to make a decision about a microwave over the stove. That's not a major thing. And I'm not saying that to brag or to make it seem like I'm better. Right. But for me, it's about being a blessing to somebody. That person called me. I'm trying not to cry. And they were so happy and so appreciative and so grateful for a microwave over the stove. But that's what we're here for. And so that's abundance to me. It's being able to help somebody out who needs it, to be able to say, you know what, I'm feeling philanthropic today. Who can I bless? Who can I help? Who really needs this and would be appreciative of what I'm doing that's not even in my family, not even one of my friends, just someone who's going through a hard situation, and I can let them know that somebody loves you, that somebody actually does care. I think it's about, just being a generous giver. See, if you spend everything that you have, you can't do that. If you're concerned about every single dime and where it goes out, you can't do that. And yes, you need to watch your money. And yes, you need to be good with money. But I also think you truly have to be a blessing. And then when I think about abundance, of course, giving is big for me. I grew up watching my mother give to so many people and being a giver. And that's something that has always stayed with me, of being able to change somebody's life, being able to say, you know what, I got somebody that I know who wants to have a surgery. The surgery is multiple thousands of dollars. But to be able to write the check and say, you know what, go have that surgery if that's going to change your life, go do that. That's what it's about, is changing lives. And so that's so important to me. Abundance, love, great people in your life who have great energy, who challenge you, who push you, who tell you the truth, that's abundance, because so many people don't have that. I am truly grateful for the people in my life. And to be honest, the quickest people who I will exit out of my life or move them to another corner are the people who will not tell me the truth. Will you tell me what you want, what I want to hear, instead of what I need to hear?
Yeah.
because that's abundance for me. It's really living in the space of every day that I'm here, I need to be better. I've got to be better. And so how do we do that? It's connecting with people like you who radiate love and positivity and peace and great energy. Does that not feel good? I mean, it feels good to me when I see people like that because it's unusual.
Yeah.
You don't see it all the time. And so that's abundance for me.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because sometimes on social media, we see abundance as like material things, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with buying expensive things, right? It's really just the way you perceive money as well. But deep down, money does represent freedom, because it's the freedom of being able to do what it is that you enjoy to do and be able to give back. And I love your story with the microwave, because I have been in that position where I have been able to give back in that way. And just that feeling is something that you cannot replace. You can't buy that feeling. And so I almost feel like for more people to step into that consciousness and to be able to give back in that way is just something that I'm striving for as much as you are. And that actually brings me to me really wanting to get deep and knowing you on an even deeper level. So actually, let's take off this mask that we have on. I'm sure it's getting dried on your face, right? Yeah. Because I want to talk to you about maybe some limiting beliefs that maybe you have had in the past that has prevented you from maybe getting to where you are today? Because a lot of my listeners have limiting beliefs. I mean, it's really normal. So can you share with us some of your major limiting beliefs that maybe have kept you stuck for a long time?
Just yesterday, I woke up yesterday morning and I wrote down, "You're worthy." And I was thinking about this event that I want to have. And I was like, you know what? I just want the women, since I was writing down, what do I want them to walk away with? And I said, I want them to walk away knowing that they are worthy, that you're worth it, that you are worthy.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. But I went out yesterday and I went to their hairstylist, even though it doesn't look like it, but that's okay.
Good. I was going to say something looks different about you.
That's okay. I went to the hairstylist. My hair was look crazy today just because it was pretty yesterday. But I was at the hairstylist, and what was interesting is that she had her daughter there. And her daughter has never been there before, ever, ever, ever in life. And so I'm sitting there and I am just kind of talking to her, and my hairstylist absolutely loves to watch judge shows. Okay. She's always watching like some crazy judge show. She's absolutely going to watch no matter what. So every time. But yesterday she didn't have it on that, and her daughter was there. And so I'm like, what's this that we're watching? And she said, well, my daughter has the television on and she's watching YouTube videos because she wants to be a hairstylist as well. So I was like, okay, perfect. So I wasn't really paying attention. But then the next thing I know, what literally captured my attention was the show. They had this girl on there and she had a t-shirt on, and her t-shirt said, "You are worthy, worth it." And I was like, what is this? I mean, because it was so crazy to me that I had literally just written that down. And then I saw this t-shirt. Well, fast forward later on in the day, I ended up running into this situation, and this situation caused me to make a decision. And when I was thinking about the decision, everybody who knew about it kept telling me, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I kept saying, no, I can't do that. And they couldn't understand why I couldn't do that. But in my mind, I couldn't do that because I'm worth it. I am worthy of this. And so I'm not asking for too much. It's coming to the conclusion and really standing by that you're worth it, that you're worthy, that people can consider you. They have to consider you. They have to do X, Y, Z or whatever. And so sometimes we just think that you're not worthy of love. For a long time, because of what I went through with my relationship, my ex-husband was a cheater. And so I would think that I'm not worthy of love, of healthy love. I'm not worthy of, someone just loving me. My father, chose to end his life when I was 13 years old. So I'm not worthy of love. I'm only worthy of pain because I've watched my family literally suffer with so much pain, with cancer and all of these things unexpectedly at such early ages. And so that's one of the things that has been so important for me, even and it's a process continuously, even working in corporate America and winning awards and being a person of influence and really creating programs that were life changing, leadership programs that were life changing for people, but being passed over or overlooked, or, yes, we'll applaud you, but we won't promote you. Yes, we'll applaud you. We'll give you the little bonus, but we're not going to pay you what you're really worth.
Right.
We're going to ask you to do more and more and more, but we're not going to say we affirm you by the promotion or by the financial increase or whatever the case is. We're going to make life difficult for you.
Yeah.
And so that really put me in a position where I was like, you know what? I don't know. Perhaps, I am less than, so to speak. And it wasn't until I was speaking to my mom one day and she literally said, she's like, you're worthy of love. And that was life changing for me because that was one of the things that I struggled with for so long. And even today, I have to make a conscious effort that I give so much that when I need something, not that I expect you to jump or do it, because I'm not that type of person, but when I watch your behavior consistently, you don't support. Consistently, you don't give good feedback. Consistently, you're not there. Consistently, you're critical. Then I have to then say, you know what? Perhaps this person is in my life and they want to receive but not give. They want to take but not affirm or validate or be there or whatever. So why is it that I have them in my life? Am I learning something from this relationship? Or is it that I need to just do life differently? And so that, has required me to overcome another limiting belief. And that's, yes, you're worthy and yes, you're worth it. But at the same time, really kind of understanding self-sabotage, don't get in your way, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're not allowing the past to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I, have been conscious of when I'm making decisions. Don't allow the past to reinvent itself, or don't make this bigger than what it needs to be, because you don't necessarily have the right lens. And so really understanding where am I at in a particular time.
I was watching you while you were talking about your story and being so vulnerable, and it really struck a chord with me because I feel like so many people, especially women, struggle with worthiness, right? Again, everyone has their own story, but you sharing that just really reminded me of everyone, including myself, that have struggled with like, am I worthy? Am I good enough to be doing this? Am I good enough to do X, Y, Z, etc.? So you told us that your mom said to you that you are worthy. Was that your personal breakthrough? Can you share more about that?
It was the impetus for a lot, because I think at that time I had been, like I said, going through counseling and therapy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? But when she said that, it allowed the tears to just come and to flow and for me to be in that moment. And it was like glass breaking and shattering, the thing that I didn't even realize was there. I didn't even realize that I had been carrying so much of that, being the outside person, so to speak, for whatever reason. I think back to one of my early years was having a friend in junior high school, and she made a decision that was life-changing. And it really was life-changing even in junior high school. She had to deal with this situation and it was all over the news. Her parents then felt like I was the person who influenced her. I had no idea. I'm in school in class minding my own business. I didn't know that she was going to be out here wilding out during school. I mean, hey, we are at school. And so I think I didn't even realize that really created a blockage for me connecting with people, because we had been so close. I mean, we were literally tighter than pantyhose, 2 sizes small. We were so tight. But they made us not talk anymore. I mean, her parents literally went to this restaurant, had a meeting with my mom, and told my mom that I could not be friends with her anymore. We could not be friends. And so that really changed my heart, because I loved her so much. And then watching my friend who I shared with you die of cancer, I loved them so much. I loved really, really hard. So when my mom shared that, it allowed me to kind of go deeper into why am I kind of dealing and struggling with rejection or abandonment. And so when she said that, I was able to kind of go back to my therapist and share with her what my mom said. And I didn't really question at the time why she said that. I just thought that, she knows that I'm struggling with depression here. and it's so heavy and I'm not going out the house and I don't want to do anything and I'm not really answering the doors or the phone calls or whatever. So she knows how deep into this depression I am and the hold it had. So I
Right.
just thought at the time that she was really trying to make me feel good, right? Make you feel better. I didn't really connect it to anything until I went and shared that with my therapist. And
Mm.
she began to ask me, well, why do you think she said that? Why do you think she made that comment? Like, let's go back. And so she began to walk me back through some other things.
Mhm.
And so that's when I was able to deal with, for years, I've struggled with my father not being here because I wonder if my ex husband was my father, so to
Mm.
speak. He wasn't depressed, he was successful, both dressed nice, both really sharp people. But in a sense, he was definitely my dad. He wasn't there. And
Right.
so, it allowed me to kind of share, what is it that's really happening here for her to say those words that you are worthy of healthy love, you're worthy of love. Like, what made her say that? And
Mhm.
for me, I began to really think about, I knew that I felt like I was unlovable because why would my husband marry me and do the things that he was doing to me? Why would he just be gone all the time or cheating or just cruel and mean? And my father wasn't like that, but he was absent. Both of them were absent. But I
Right.
realized that a lot of things that my mother went through, it was because of my father. And so the stories were the same, and I didn't realize that. So in a sense, I really think she was watching me go through the same thing that she had gone through. So I really think it was a message or an anthem for her, but it healed me at the same time.
I love that so much because sometimes we get messages from people that, obviously love us, and it sometimes is not even meant for us intentionally, but it somehow lands for us, right? And someone
Right.
listening to this podcast, it may happen the same way, right? Because sometimes I listen to other people's podcasts and I'm not intentionally looking for that, but it somehow lands that way.
Right.
Which actually brings me to one of my questions, and that is there like a practice or a ritual or some kind of quote or affirmation that you can leave someone with? I know you have a book. I don't know if you want to pull from that, but what is something that you want to leave our listeners with?
Whew, that's good. I think one of the things for me that's huge is that I go back to you're worthy. And when I say that, this is so important because, one of the things I say all the time is that we have got to stop jumping over oceans for people who won't step in puddles for us.
I love that.
And I mean that because for years, I think I did. We're looking for validation or affirmation, or we want to be that good friend. We want to be that reliable person. We want to be the person who, you can always count on. But who can you always count on? And who is the person for you? I think it's, realizing that when I say that, that doesn't mean that you don't help people, because I definitely don't, I'm not saying that. You don't help people who don't help you. But it is, you understand that you have to prioritize yourself, your dreams, your goals, and they are just as important as their dreams, their goals as
Mhm.
well. And so sometimes we're so caught up in being there for other people that we're not there for ourselves, and we don't put a demand on the love that we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
I believe that when we truly love ourselves, you're able to make better choices and better decisions. They can also lead you to more opportunities because you're ready for it and you're open for it, which equates to money in the bank. And I love that because I don't think you should have to be dependent upon somebody else as to whether or not you eat. When my ex-husband and I broke up, I remember relocating from Maryland to Texas. I did not have a job and I was not working when I left. So you can't tell me about starting over, or pain. I will not subscribe to it because to relocate to another state in which you don't even have a job, but you're just taking a risk, that's huge. And I was brave and I did that. And so, but it was me understanding that for years, I have given and supported his dreams and his goals.
Mhm.
What has he done for my dreams and my goals?
Mhm.
When I look at some of my friends, not too long ago, I was talking to someone and she said, you're always there and you always make time and you're always the person who rarely can I not get you. And when I can't get you, you're going to always call back.
Yeah.
And I said, and I didn't think anything about that. But what struck me was the fact that I had been struggling for quite some time because I couldn't say the same thing about her. So my story would be the complete opposite. See, I show up to your events. Have you ever shown up to mine?
Right.
I support you in your dreams. Have you ever supported mine? I've given thousands to your causes. Have you ever bought a $20 book for me? And I'm not expecting tit for tat, but it's just understanding that when I've had major issues in life and I've called you crying and in tears, you haven't answered the phone. But when you've called me, I've answered. Doesn't matter the time. And that really kind of led me to a soul searching of why are you doing this? Why can she say this of you? And you guys have known each other for years, but you can't say that of her. Anything remotely close. And so it was me, having a reckoning with myself and saying, you know what? It's not necessarily that you have to not be there and not support, but you have to reprioritize the relationship. Because one of the things that she shared that she said, because when you call, I'm normally doing something. I'm thinking to myself, I'm normally doing something. What? Do you not understand what I'm doing? And so she's like, I'm normally doing something. And if I answer the phone when people call me, then I won't be able to accomplish my goals. And I thought, well, I still accomplish my goals, but I answer the phone and I show up. I wonder if I could do it faster though.
Right.
I wonder if I could get more done, if I can do it easier, because I'm not having your baggage with me. I'm in a clear frame of mind, and so perhaps I need to talk when it's best for me, not necessarily because you need something, you're in need. And so I just thought, you know what, maybe if I do that differently, I will feel better. And I'm telling you, I do feel better. I feel lighter. I feel more energetic. I feel more powerful. I'm accomplishing more. My vision is clearer. I have great clarity of what I will achieve and precision on how to go about doing it, because I'm not bogged down with all of that energy that I'm devoting to something else. I'm not multitasking, so I can actually focus and dig deep here. And then I give my time and reserve my energy for those who actually deserve it. People who we can laugh together. We're going to challenge each other. We're going to make each other better. We can dream together. We can support. We can ideate together. People who we can talk about, what, hey, what if we put together this event to give back and, to people who actually need something. And so I said, what, maybe it's the fact that I really needed to live by this quote that I've been saying for a long time, but I need to take it up a level. And I need to apply it even to the people that I really like, because I really love her. And we have great times together. I can fall out laughing in the floor with her. She is the funniest person. But now reality is I have to call a spade. And the spade is that, you're not going to step in the puddle for me, regardless of how many oceans I cross for you.
Sure. Yeah.
So the relationship where it needs to be. And so we have our circle of friends or our circle of people or mentors or whatever the case. And sometimes we're giving too much attention to the wrong people and not enough attention to the right people.
I love that so much. I mean, setting boundaries, right? And knowing what your boundaries are. And the thing is that I totally agree with you, because I definitely have friends where I feel like I'm definitely giving more than they are with me. And I'm very aware of it and almost have to be super aware of it so that I am understanding that I need to set my boundaries, right? It's like they don't even realize it, and I can present it to them, but at the end of the day, like I have that choice to make these decisions for myself. Which actually brings me to my next point, and that is, you have been helping so many people for such a long time, Dr. Sharalyn. I would love for my listeners listening right now to help you. So what are you most excited about this year? Tell us about your project so we can support you.
Oh my gosh, I am so pumped about this women's event. And I say it really is a women's event, although men can come. So I'm not branding it a women's event. I've just crafted it with women in mind. And it's called Atlas. And it is all about creating synergies in our life. And I call it Atlas because I think about we have to have a map, a roadmap to get where we want to go. But sometimes the best way for us to get there is to be around the right people, the right thought leaders, and in a different environment. So again, Atlas. So we're going to go somewhere, that's away from where you normally are, so that you can really kind of tap into what is it that you're supposed to be doing? What is it that you actually want? And how are you going to get it? And we're going to walk away with a plan. There is nothing like getting the right people in the right room. One of the things that I've been able to do in corporate America that I have loved for so long was what they call it offsites. I call it a strategic offsite. And it's really where the CEO, and he owns the agenda, and you are the CEO of your life. Whether or not you have a business, whether you're a mom, whether you're a wife, you are the CEO of your life. And so it's really kind of, with the offsite, you have the CEO, he owns the agenda, and he brings in his top level leadership, those who directly report to him. And they actually get into a room and they strategize about what's working, what's not working, what's the plan, how do we move forward. And when they walk out with a plan of attack, so that they can make sure that what their goals are for the next year, the next 5 years can actually take place. And it happens normally once a year. Well, I want to bring that same concept to the everyday person who's just kind of figuring out, what is it that I need to do? How much money do I need to save? I need to be a millionaire. Everybody has a millionaire as their number by 40. We have these ridiculous timeframes as well to do that. So how do you get the right people? How do you get a wealth leader that's in the room, a person who is gifted in money mindset and who can really help you to take it to the next level? You need a strategy and a plan. And so I'm excited that September, we're going to go somewhere. I'm still figuring out the location, but September the 25th and 26th. And so that's a Saturday and a Sunday. We're just going to sit around, and it's going to be 12 people only who get to come to Atlas. And they're going to walk away with a plan that they can actually use to get started right now, so they can have a head start on 2022. Because everybody waits till January, right? You're behind the eight ball. So the year actually starts in September. So we're going to start in September, and you're going to come to Atlas, and we're going to get started on the things that you need to get started on, so that you can look back and say, you know what? I was intentional about the life that I designed, that I am taking these complex things I want to do and I'm making them simple. And it's just going to be 2 days of strategy, 2 days of plans, 2 days of you. What if you were able to sit in a room with somebody like yourself and bounce your ideas off of someone without worrying that she's going to steal my idea? So we're going to come in and we're going to do that. And then we're going to turn back around in January. I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, somewhere right around that time. And we're going to have a retreat. And that's all about resting, because we don't give enough to rest and relationships and rejuvenation so you can be renewed. And so we're going to have a retreat. We're going to go somewhere amazing. And again, we're going to just work on the things like our leadership and our influence, our communication skills, those things that you may say they're not important. Yes, it is. I don't care if you're going to the store and you're trying to negotiate a deal for a treadmill, then you need to have influencing skills or communication skills of why they can reduce that rate for you. So we don't realize how that actually impacts communication and relationships. So, impacts every part of our life, how you think. And that goes back to my TLI formula. It's all about thinking, leadership, influence, and income. And that's why that's important. But we're going to be tackling those things in January so you can understand that's how you actually get to have more money, more fun, more freedom, more abundance, in your life. It's really kind of digging deep and tapping into the things that we don't realize that we minimize or we dismiss, but they are really crucial to your happiness and your success, your ability to live a fulfilling and rewarding life. So I am super thrilled and pumped. We actually may be in your neighborhood, and so we've got to connect.
Let's share with listeners where they can connect with you, right? We would definitely want to make sure that they have access to get in touch with you. I know you have an amazing website. I looked at it, but where do you hang out normally on social media so people can say hi to you?
That's a good question. So I'm not a huge social media person because it just requires so much time, right? But I will say I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm really rearing up my presence on LinkedIn and really kind of using that as a tool more so now. So they can definitely look for me there. Also, I check my email and I actually respond to my email. Okay. So my email address, if that's okay, is Sharalyn@pushpartner.com, and that's SHARALYN@pushpartner.com. And so if you want to get tips or guidance or quotes or leadership or insights or tools or whatever the case is, then I would definitely say email me or, just say, hey, Sharalyn, I want to be a part. So if you do that, then I will add you to the list and you can get real tangible, practical strategies and advice that you can actually use to truly up level your life so that you can live this fulfilling and rewarding life that I believe everybody should live. And, people say you're not entitled to anything. I really truly believe you're entitled to live a good life.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sharalyn, it's been such a pleasure. Your energy is so infectious. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story with all of us. Just even me right now, I feel like this was so valuable. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been such a pleasure. And yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I always enjoy you. You're like, oh my gosh, such a light. And I truly mean you radiate love, joy, and peace and happiness, success. And so I am just so grateful to be connected to you, and for you to invite me on her means the world to me, because I love, love, love connecting with good people. So thank you. And I hope that your listeners, really kind of understand who you really are and what you bring to the table. You are truly valuable.
Oh, thank you.